Imagine a world where the idea of having an exact biological copy of yourself is no longer science fiction, but reality. Cloning, once confined to the pages of futuristic novels, has become a controversial subject in modern science. From the cloning of animals like Dolly the sheep to debates about cloning humans, this technology raises profound questions. Who owns a copy of you? Does a clone have the same rights, the same identity, or even the same soul? In this video, we begin to explore one of the most challenging dilemmas of future technology, biological, cloning, and the right to a copy. This is not just a question of science, but of ethics, law, and human identity itself. Welcome to Future Tech with Oleg, where today we face the dilemma: does a copy have the right to exist as much as the original? The journey of biological cloning began long before the dream of duplicating humans. In 1996, scientists in Scotland achieved a breakthrough with Dolly the sheep, the first mammal cloned from an adult cell. This moment marked the beginning of a new era in biology, showing us that the genetic code could be copied and reassembled to create life. Since then, we have seen mice, cows, and even monkeys cloned in laboratories, proving the process is repeatable. Yet, with every success came more difficult questions. Is cloning simply reproduction by another method? Or is it something that challenges the very definition of individuality? If we can make a copy, what does that mean for the uniqueness of the original? These questions began the debate we still have today. The science is real, but the ethics remain unresolved. With the success of animal cloning, scientists began to wonder, could humans be next? Theoretically, the same process of transferring a nucleus into an egg cell could be used to replicate a person. Supporters of human cloning point to medical benefits. Imagine growing replacement organs perfectly matched to your body, or giving infertile couples a way to have genetically related children. Some even dream of preserving loved ones by creating a copy, continuing their presence after death. But here lies the danger of imagination turning into reality. Would a clone truly be the same person, or simply a new individual sharing identical DNA? Human cloning carries not only the hope of healing and continuity, but also the shadow of deep ethical questions. This is where science meets philosophy, and where possibility collides with morality. But alongside the dreams of healing and continuity comes a powerful fear, the fear of playing God. Throughout history, whenever humanity has gained new control over life, from gene editing to artificial intelligence, society has asked whether we are crossing a line. Cloning is no exception. Critics argue that to copy a human is to interfere with nature's deepest order. They warn of a world where identity is commodified, where individuals could be manufactured rather than born. What does it mean for the soul, for free will, for dignity? If someone can be replicated in a lab, these are not just scientific questions, but moral and spiritual dilemmas. Human cloning makes us question not only what is possible, but what should be allowed. A clone may share your DNA, but it does not share your life. From the very first moment, a clone's experiences will diverge from yours. Different environments, different relationships, different choices. Genetics may build the body, but it does not define the mind or the soul. Identical twins prove this every day. The same DNA, yet unique personalities. If we created a human clone, they would not wake up with your memories or your consciousness. They would begin as a new individual carrying your biology but not your history. This raises a fundamental question. Is a clone legally and morally the same as you, or a completely new person with equal rights? If treated as property, cloning risks stripping human dignity. If treated as a full individual, then cloning forces us to accept that DNA does not define identity. The paradox is clear. Science can replicate the body, but personhood cannot be copied. Genes can build a body, but memory builds a person. A clone may carry your DNA, yet it does not inherit the thread that ties your yesterday to your today. Consciousness is not a file saved to a drive. It is a river that never stops moving. Even if a clone looks like me, it won't wake up with my first heartbreak, my favorite song, or the reason I fear the dark. Those things were forged in moments, some loud, some quiet, that no lab can replicate. If identity is continuity, then a clone begins at 0, not at my page 100. That makes the clone neither my property nor my backup, but a new traveler, starting on a different road. Yet society loves shortcuts. If a face matches, we assume the story matches too. That assumption is dangerous. It can erase autonomy, responsibility, even guilt. If a clone commits a crime, do you punish the original? If the original loves someone, must the clone feel the same? These are not technical bugs. They are moral landmines. So the real question is not, can we copy life? But, what part of life must stay uncopyable if dignity is to survive? Imagine a courtroom of the future, not a case of theft or violence, but a trial of existence itself. A clone stands accused, not of a crime, but of simply being created. Does the law protect them as a human being, or dismiss them as intellectual property? History tells us laws often lag behind morality. Slavery was once legal, while freedom was not. Women once had no rights, while injustice was dressed as order. What if we repeat those mistakes with clones? If a company patents a genetic design, does it own the person who carries it? Or should every conscious being, born or cloned, be guaranteed dignity by default? And yet, granting full rights creates its own storms. If a clone is truly a person, then humanity must accept millions of new citizens with identical faces. The paradox sharpens. Law wants clarity, but identity resists simple definitions. So we stand at the edge of a future courtroom, asking, will justice defend life or only ownership? Imagine waking up one day and discovering you are not unique. Another version of you exists. Same face, same DNA, same voice. But here's the paradox. Your memories, your pain, your love stories, they're not duplicated. They are only yours. And yet, society might look at you and your clone as interchangeable pieces of data. This creates the ultimate identity crisis. If someone looks exactly like me, does that make me less me? Philosophers call this the ship of Theseus problem. If every part of a ship is replaced, is it still the same ship? Now replace ship with person. If my biology is copied, but my memories are not, am I still the original or just one of many? The clone, meanwhile, may feel like a shadow, trapped in a body that screams authentic, but a mind that whispers imposter. So the question burns brighter. Are we defined by our DNA or by the invisible thread of experience? The trial has ended, but the answer never came. What makes us who we are? The body, the code in our cells, or the fragile memories our minds hold? DNA can be replicated, appearances can be copied, but can the weight of lived days, the warmth of encounters, the pain of losses ever be restored? The clone looks at me, and in his eyes I see only emptiness. No joy, no sorrow, no history. And in that moment, I realize the true value lies not in a perfect reflection, but in the uniqueness of our path. But can the world accept a reality where copies stand equal to originals? Or will we lose all, meaning once we stop distinguishing living memory from cold replication? The courtroom fades into silence, but the questions remain louder than the verdict itself. If a body can be copied, but a life cannot, then what is truly human? A clone may share my skin, my voice, even the reflection in the mirror, but it will never carry the trembling of my first fear, the warmth of a childhood embrace, or the scars I earned while becoming myself. We imagine identity as something fixed, carved in stone, yet it is fragile, woven from laughter, pain, and fleeting moments that cannot be reconstructed. Technology can capture the blueprint of flesh, but not the chaos of experience. It can replicate a vessel, but it cannot pour inside the river of time that shaped me. Perhaps memory is not just a record of what is past, but the very essence of who we are. Without memory, a perfect body becomes nothing more than an empty house with no voices, no echoes, no warmth inside. And this may be the truth we fear the most, that our greatest vulnerability is also our greatest treasure. To be human is not to exist. It is to remember, because in the end, what defines us is not design, not DNA, not perfection, but the story we carry, the one no laboratory can copy. We are not just flesh, nor code, nor even the quiet rhythm of a beating heart. We are stories layered one over another, moments of laughter, tears, pain, and love. Every memory, no matter how small, is a thread woven into the fabric of our identity. A childhood toy held tightly, a hand once grasped in fear, a face remembered only in fragments. These are not data points. They are weight, gravity, that pulls us back to who we are. Without them, we become hollow shells, perfect on the surface, yet endlessly empty inside. To remember is to carry the burden of being human. And yet, it is this very burden that gives life meaning. A clone can mirror a body, but it cannot carry the unbearable light and the unbearable heaviness of memory. And perhaps that is what separates us. Not perfection, but the fragile truth of what we've lived through. Science can map our genes, copy our cells, even build the perfect mirror of our body. But can it touch the soul? The soul is not written in DNA, nor preserved in a memory chip. It is the fragile flame that flickers in silence, the weight of meaning behind every choice we make. A clone may look like me, walk like me, even smile like me. But is the spark inside the same? If the soul is the sum of love, pain, faith, and doubt, then it is unrepeatable. We fear death not because the body ends, but because the flame goes out, and no machine can reignite it. To clone life without soul is to build a body without a song, a heart without rhythm. And maybe that is the line we must never cross, because what makes us human is not that we live, but that we live with meaning, and meaning cannot be copied. In the end, the question remains, is a clone truly a new human being, or just a reflection of the one who came before? If a clone carries the same body, perhaps even fragments of memory, does that grant it the same rights, the same dignity? Or is it forever a shadow, bound by comparison, never free to be its own self? We have always defined humanity not only by flesh and thought, but by the invisible spark we call the soul. Yet if science creates a being that walks, speaks, and feels as we do, how can we say where humanity begins and where it ends? The ultimate dilemma is not about science, but about us. Would you accept your clone as your equal, or would you always see it as something less? If this story has made you pause, reflect, or even question your own sense of identity, then I invite you to stay with us on this journey. Every video we create is not just a story. It's a mirror held up to the future, showing us questions we may all one day have to face. By subscribing, you're not only helping us reach our very first milestone of 1,000 subscribers, you're also becoming part of a community that dares to ask the hardest questions. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss what comes next, because each chapter will challenge you even more deeply. And now, I leave you with a final thought. Would you treat a clone of yourself as family or as a stranger?